Well, sometimes the first step in being better together is to simply start a conversation. That's exactly why we have the owners of Harmony Wellness on the show today to talk a little bit more about a new film, The M Factor, Shedding the Silence on Menopause. Ooh, I like the title. So we have Ivy Andrea here with me. So first, give me a little synopsis of this film, because I think for some people out there, they're like, okay, so how does this work?
Yes, of course. Well, that's a really great question. The movie is really impactful because it talks about not just the symptoms, which it does a great job of exploring the symptoms that impact daily living. It also talks about the long-term conditions that we want to prevent frailty in the future. It highlights that there are disparities even within this gap of care that all women experience, but some groups are more vulnerable to access to care, to information. We know that Black women and Latina women suffer some more severe symptoms. They can last longer, and the impact to long-term health is more. So it's really important. The movie with the producers of Take Flight Productions did a wonderful job putting it together. And they also did touch on some of the historic medical trauma that some groups have faced.
I always say knowledge is power. That's not a new saying, but it's a true saying. Let's have this conversation, right? What are we not talking about, especially when it comes to menopause? Because I feel like it's a taboo at some kitchen tables.
I think you're right. I think perimenopause is a term that many women haven't heard before, but we know that perimenopause is a period of time for about 10 years leading up to menopause. And the symptoms can vary, the severity of the symptoms can change. You can have a symptom for a while and then there's a new one that comes along. We don't do a great job talking about women's health in our country. It's kind of seen as a taboo, like you mentioned. I think we mistake women's health for talking about something intimate when really we're talking about body parts. We can talk about diabetes, but we can't talk about bladder incontinence. They're just body parts. So,
Which, by the way, you're going to feel a lot more than some of the other things that you might talk about. So my goodness, we should talk about them.
We should.
there's over 34 documented symptoms of perimenopause and menopause, and there are over 100 combinations of those symptoms. So your menopause, her menopause is not going to be anyone else's. They're all very unique.
And for anybody out there who says, okay, I'm not going through menopause, I won't be going through menopause, why is it still important for them to be in on these conversations?
I love that question. There's been a new call to action from these researchers and these clinicians that are in the movie that we really need to understand menopause and the long-term effect. It's not just about the symptoms, which actually some of the symptoms are so impactful that it really can disrupt people's lives. But that being that said, the urgency for us is to get the news out about this long-term health, this vitality that we want for those last years of our life, and to dial back on that frailty that we expect. We don't need to expect it.
There's definitely a call to action here. You can actually join Harmony Wellness on Wednesday to watch the film and see a panel discussion afterwards. And we have more details on how you get those tickets at KARA11.com/noon.